Hi, I'm Cindy Winget, the author of The Apparition, and welcome to my channel. So in today's video, we're going to be doing my March TBR. So if you watched my TBR from last month, I decided to go ahead and just do my 26 books that I want to read in the year 2026. And I want to continue that, but I'm going to make a few changes. I wanted to make sure that every genre was a little bit equal, so that I have an equal chance of getting other genres besides just the same genre over and over again. But in order to make it 26, that meant that two genres had to have an extra book. So thriller and horror are going to have 5 books each, and then romance, science fiction, fantasy, and random will have only 4 books. So I made this little sheet. I don't know if you can see it very well, but the ones that were on my thrillers was Look in the Mirror, Number One Fan, The Ghost Rider, 4 Found Dead, and That's Not My Name. But I'm not really feeling YA thrillers. I'm just not really in the mood for them lately, so I think I'm going to change those two. So I'm going to be crossing them out. So I crossed them out, and I'm going to go with Best Offer Wins, because that one I've heard really good things about, and I'm just really excited to get to it. And then also Her Last Breath, which is the latest release by Taylor Adams, which I'm very, very, very excited to read because I've loved his other books. So I'm excited to see what else he has to offer. And then in horror, we had Place Where They Buried Your Heart, Bat Eater, One Yellow Eye, The Hong Kong Widow, and House Suffer. So a little bit of a spoiler for my wrap-up video. I was not able to get to The Hong Kong Widow, which was one of the chosen ones. So I'm going to just go ahead and keep that on there. But I was able to read House Safer, so now I need to choose something else for that. And I have decided to go with The Specimen. So then for romance, we have Dungeons and Drama, First Time Caller, Fan Service, and The Roughest Draft. So The Roughest Draft was also chosen for my TBR last month, but I also was not able to get to that one, so that one will remain the same. And then we have science fiction, Ship of Fools, Hyperion, Empire of Silence, and Children of Time. Children of Time was also chosen in my last month's TBR, but again, I was not able to get to it. So unfortunately, that also remains the same. And then for fantasy, we have A Land So Wide, Bloodguard, The Familiar, and Belladonna. So I did read Belladonna, so I need to change that to something else. So I decided, because it's part of a trilogy, I would just go ahead and put the next book on there, which is called Foxglove. So I'm going to change Belladonna to Foxglove. And then for random, I have Jane Eyre, Rebecca, Romantic Friction, and Yellowface. And I was able to read Yellowface. So we need to change that one to something else. And I've decided to go with The Newmans. Okay, so these are now my official 26 books that are going to be on my TBR list that will go into the Spin the Wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and get my spinner wheel ready and we'll see what this month's picks are. I'm very excited. Okay, so I've got my Spin the Wheel up. I've got them all written down. So now I think I'm going to shuffle because they're still by genre right now, so shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. 3 times is probably good. Okay, so let's see what our first one's gonna be. I don't want these stupid ads. Go away. Okay. Do, 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 do. One Yellow Eye. Cool. I'm very intrigued by this one, so this time I will remember to hit remove. Unlike last time. Okay, second book. Okay, so we got 2 different genres at least. We have horror and now we have a thriller, so that's good. Number 3, lucky number 3, let's go. Oh, I wasn't sure which one I was going to land on. The Familiar. Okay, I'm not even sure what genre this is for sure. I have it in my fantasy section, but I don't know. So that could be a third genre. Is everyone going to be a different genre? Because that would be awesome. Okay, number 4. Nope, we got another fantasy. Bloodguard. That's okay. They're drastically different, even though they're both fantasy. So that doesn't bother me. Okay, number 5. Okay, now we got a romance, Dungeons and Drama. Okay, what is our last one going to be? Another thriller. Best offer wins. I'm pretty happy with those picks. Okay, so our 6 books have been chosen. We have a good mix of things. We have 1 romance, 1 horror, 2 thrillers, and then 2 fantasy. So we didn't get any science fiction this time or randoms, but I still feel like this is a good mix of genres, so I'm happy about that. So our romance that was chosen was Dungeons and Drama. In case you don't remember from my 26 books of 2026 video, we have this drama geek and this gamer nerd, and she needs to work at her dad's gamer shop, and she really doesn't want to, but she meets this nerdy guy that she wouldn't necessarily hang out with outside of school, but he's going to help her run the shop for gamers, and in return she's going to help him make his crush jealous. So this is the fake dating trope, and if you can't tell, this is also a YA novel. It's pretty short. I think it's less than 300 pages, so I should be able to fly through this one. And then our 1 horror is One Yellow Eye, and this was a zombie post-apocalyptic book. And we have this woman who is our main character, and she is a scientist, and her husband has contracted the virus and turned into a zombie. But instead of informing the police or the authorities like she was supposed to, she ends up just keeping him in her basement because she is convinced that she can come up with a cure to save him. So she doesn't want him to be put down because she thinks that she can bring him back, that he's still in there somewhere. And then for our 2 thrillers, we have a Best Offer Wins. And this is about this unhinged woman who really, really, really wants this house, but the housing market is so crazy and everybody's trying to get the same houses, and she found her dream house and she will do anything to get this house, whether it's ethical or not. And it sounds like she might spy on the other people that also put an offer in. So it sounds very fun. And this one's also pretty short. I think this one's also less than 300 pages. So again, I should be able to fly through it. But I loved an unhinged main character, and it just sounds like a lot of fun. And then we have The Ghostwriter. And this is about this woman who is a ghostwriter, and she ends up being able to ghostwrite for her father. Now, it's unclear if she knows at the time of writing the novel whether he is her father or whether he knows that she is his daughter. I don't know. But either way, he's a horror author, and his siblings were murdered when he was young, and everybody was convinced that he was the one that did it. And so now, many years later, like 20 years down the road, he's willing to open up and talk about it. And so our main character is ghostwriting his memoir. And then we have our 2 fantasies, starting with The Familiar, and this is set in medieval Spain, and it's about this woman who is able to do magic. She gets this job with this noble woman, and she performs like little magics, to help the bread not to spoil, or, help her with household chores. But her mistress sees her using this magic, and she is going to use this magic to her advantage to help her social climb. So it sounds really fun, and I'm excited to finally get to this because it's been on my TBR for a while. And then we have Blood Card, and this one's a little bit longer. It's like 430 pages, but this is about this man whose sister is ill and he needs money for doctors and medicine to help her, and so he volunteers to be in the gladiator pits. But I think his sister actually ends up passing away, and it sounds like under unfortunate circumstances, and he's seeking revenge now. But he falls in love with this elven princess, or that's part of the royal line. And so now he's kind of conflicted about, what he's going to do, whether he's going to continue to exact revenge or not. And he also wants to become a blood guard, which is the highest in the hierarchy of gladiators. So this one does sound intriguing. It sounds like a fantasy version of the movie Gladiator. So I'm excited to get to this. Hopefully, I don't know that I'm going to get to all of these books. And this one might end up being at the bottom of the ones I really want to get to. So I don't know if I'll actually get to it, but I hope so. And then also this month, I need to read The Storm by Rachel Hawkins. I'm actually doing an entire video on Rachel Hawkins this month, so if you're interested in that, I will be doing a reading vlog for her newest release, which is The Storm. And this is about this woman who owns this inn in Alabama, and it's kind of become infamous because there was a big hurricane that happened, and during that hurricane, this woman killed her boyfriend, or allegedly killed her boyfriend. Nobody has been able to prove that. But fast forward into the future, there's this journalist that wants to do a piece about this woman who has murdered her lover, and she shows up at the inn, and lo and behold, she's there with the infamous killer herself. And so now our main character has this journalism and this potential murderer as guests in her inn, and another hurricane is bearing down on them, and they may or may not get stuck at this inn together where secrets will be revealed. So it sounds fun. I've really enjoyed Rachel Hawkins' books in the past, so I'm excited to read something else from her. And then I also have a couple of NetGalley arcs that I need to read this month, starting with You Did Nothing Wrong. And this is by the same author that did Don't Let the Forest In. She's been doing only YA books up until now, but this is her adult debut novel. I have not read anything by this author yet, so this will be my first one from her. And this is about this woman who has an autistic son, and she's newly married to this wonderful man, and she goes to live in this Victorian house with him that needs to be renovated because it's very old and very run down. And she's having a hard time with her son because he doesn't do well with new places and having his routines mixed up. And she's also pregnant with a new baby, which is also going to complicate things. But that's not the least of her problems, because as soon as they move in and start renovating, her son is convinced that he can hear whispers in the walls. So this is classified as a psychological thriller meets a haunted house tale. So that's very intriguing to me because those are my two absolute favorite genres to read. So smashing them together is always a good fun time. So I'm hoping to really enjoy this one. And then the other arc I have is called Burn the Kingdom Down. This is a YA romantasy novel about this girl whose sister was set to marry their enemy's leader in order to, I guess, garner a treaty. I'm not really sure. But before she can get to this land in this other country in order to marry this royal, she is found dead at the bottom of a cliff. And, our main character is told that this was an accident and they're very sorry it happened, but she doesn't believe that it's an accident. She believes that this was murder. And so she decides to take her sister's place and go to this other country that is her enemy and marry the crown prince in order to figure out what truly happened to her sister. But after she gets there, she realizes that this royal maybe isn't as bad as she thought, and this country that was their enemy that she wants to take down from the inside out is maybe also not what she thought it was, and that her sister may have been keeping secrets from her. So I'm not the biggest fan of romantasy, depending on how it's done. If it's done a certain way, I can really, really enjoy it. If it's to the point where it's a toxic relationship and I can't get behind the main character's love interest, then I have a hard time with it. So I'm hoping this ends up going the way I want it to, but we'll see. But that's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you feel so inclined, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.